Just for a minute, I want you to be an idiot. I want you to close your eyes and listen to this random guy on YouTube telling you what to do. I want you to just be simple. Be so simple, just for this moment, and I promise you that there'll be something at the end of it. If you just go so simple for this moment, like you're a newborn infant, you've never experienced anything before. Pretend you're like an astronaut putting its head through a new dimension, and it's so new that you cannot comprehend where you are looking. You cannot see, hear, touch, taste, because everything is so new that it goes beyond the bandwidth of your capabilities to experience it. You're experiencing so fresh, so new, that you do not know anything. You are now knowledgeless. In this moment, there is nothing to know. And I want you to see that the most primary fundamental knowledge that you have in this experience is simply that you know this experience. You know that it is. And this knowing that it is what we call consciousness. And we want to look at the agreement that we could make with all people in all circumstances if they understood the question. What's the one thing all people reduced of knowledge would all know? They would simply know knowing. They would know there was knowing, even if they didn't know there was knowing. See that in your experience there is just this knowing that you exist. There's a knowing that you exist, and because you do have prior memory of language, you have this sense of I. An infant doesn't have a sense of I, but you have a sense of I am. You have this sense that you exist. And this existence that you know yourself to be, reduced of objective knowledge, is just pure being. This sense of pure being that you know yourself to be when you are finally simple for this moment is what we mean when we say I am. We say I am walking down the street, I'm going to the supermarket, I'm sad, I'm happy. There's an I that is, and then we clothe it with that event. We clothe it with that experience. But we want to push away just for a moment the experience that we're clothing ourselves with, and we want to go to the raw existence-ness itself. For most people, this is too subtle of an understanding, or too subtle of a thing to understand. For those who get it, they will just experience their pure being. They will just see it clearly. Just this sense of I am. This sense of I am is what we all share. This sense of I am is consciousness. Think about it, your experience right now. You know that you are. That which knows that it is obviously aware that it is. And that which is aware that it is the fabric of your experience. It's you that knows walking down the street, talking to a friend, feeling anxiety, feeling the heat of the sun. You are aware of all these things. That you are, that exists, that is aware, is the continuity in your experience that you have never not been experiencing, and that has never not been experiencing. So this continuity, which is your awareness, which is you, notice you are the common denominator in all your experiences. What is that you? That you is being. And that being is aware. It's aware of what's taking place. Now we can take this pathway of understanding being and this sense of I am, this sense that I exist. That sense that you exist is a very innocent, naked sense. It's not a sense in the ordinary sense. I sense, see, sight, smells, touches, tastes. But there's something that allows all the senses to be sensed. It's our sense of being. It's our sense of I am. So take yourself just momentarily, just to this experience of I am. Am means to be. I refers to the thing that it is. I, meaning what I am, is am. It exists. It is. And by knowing it is also aware. This pure awareness, I want you to describe it. I want you to try and describe this awareness. So usually most people say, well, I can't describe it. I can only describe things. The minute I try to describe it, it disappears. It doesn't disappear. The things you try to describe disappear. So when you try to describe consciousness, you can't. But it doesn't disappear. It means that you cannot find any objective qualities. So in this moment, you're looking and you're trying to describe the awareness of your experience. Sometimes people say, oh, it's black, or it's this, or it's that. It's spacious. It's not spacious. It's not black, because there's something aware of the space and there's something aware of the blackness. And that thing that is aware of the space and the blackness is not itself spacious or black. What this means is that it exists outside the dimensions of time and space. You cannot find it as an object in time and space. You cannot say, well, it's black because it's got this color, because you can't see something black without a shape. You can't have a colorless shape, and you cannot have a shape without a color, even if it was just a white page with a black empty box. Well, the shape would be the parameters of the line that create the square. You cannot have a shape without a color. You cannot have a size without a shape, and you cannot have a shape without a size. You cannot have a form without a size or a shape or a color. Anything measurable starts and ends. We may say thoughts don't have size, shapes, and colors. We can imagine them to, but the thoughts that we think in our head don't have size, shapes, forms, or colors. Yet we know that they start and end, so it has one dimension, the dimension of time. When you try to describe awareness, which means you are quite literally trying to articulate what it is you're experiencing, you don't find a start or an end or a size or a shape or a border or a color, meaning it doesn't exist in your mind, because things that exist in your mind have size, shapes, forms, and colors. They're also accessed by your mind, meaning you access them by using a thought or a feeling. So if I want to remember my password, I use a thought that takes me to the memory, and therefore I type the password. If I want to find the lyrics to a song, I use Google. I first think Google, then I look towards the object where Google exists, laptop. I go to objects, to objects, to objects to gather this experience. If I want to have an experience of something, I always use the mind, because I have to think about it or do something about it to get there. I have to use knowledge. Now notice, this knowing of your being does not require the mind. You don't use the mind as a tool to go there. You don't think about it, then you take the thought and go there. You go there without using the mind. You go there without using your eyes, your ears, your mouth, your nose. You go there without using your thoughts. It's already there while the thought takes place, and it's there after the thought takes place, and in the thought. You cannot remember it. You cannot remember the experience of being. You cannot remember the knowing of awareness, because it's zero-dimensional. So usually we validate the existence of things via memory. We say, well, I know this happened because I remember this happening. You can't remember awareness because it doesn't have a dimension. So what we see here is a massive significance. This is an extremely significant thing to realize. This is the importance of doing any type of teaching, is to be capable of expressing the significance of important things. This is one of them. The fact that you know your beingness without using anything the mind is. So you don't use thoughts or perceptions in order to know awareness. You don't look at an object and get aware. You are aware, which is what allows you to see the object, which what allows the object to be known. Awareness is primary. A beautiful way of establishing this is what I learned from Francis Lucille, where he talks about inference. We usually infer the existence of consciousness because we see an object. So most people say, well, yes, awareness is there. I know this because I can see the object. What we're doing here is inferring the existence of something. This is the same as if a smoke is happening over the hill. We know the existence of a fire because you cannot have smoke without a fire. So we can prove the existence of the fire by knowing that there is smoke, because it's impossible for smoke to come without a fire. In this metaphorical sense, yes, we might have cigarettes. It's not necessarily a fire, but you understand the sentiment here. Pretend this is like, 200 BC. If there is smoke, there is a fire. We can infer the existence of the fire based on the smoke. Now, what we're trying to do here, and failing at, because it's not actually true, is that we are trying to infer the existence of consciousness because there is an object. So we're saying without an object, no consciousness. With an object, that allows me to know there is consciousness. But here's the craziest thing. The only reason that we would ever know and be able to infer the existence of a fire by seeing smoke is if we had already had first-hand experience of the fire. You cannot infer the existence of a fire by seeing the smoke if you had not first had experience of the fire directly. So this is our evidence that we can now infer through this metaphor, through this analogy, the existence of consciousness without the object, by seeing clearly that if we can know there is awareness via seeing the object, we must have had first-hand experience of awareness without the object in order to be able to infer in the first place. So we do have experience of consciousness without the arising of an object. The only thing that prevents us from seeing that is because we cannot remember the experience of consciousness without the object, because it is not something that can be contained by the mind. So notice this: if something can possibly exist that has no limitation to the mind in any way, shape, or form, literally, that means that it is autonomous of the mind, in the same way that the water is autonomous of the wave. Consciousness is indivisible. Consciousness does not have any form, size, shape, color. It is purely absolute, and in its ultimate sense, it cannot even be known. So what we see here is that what you are is imperturbable. You cannot be touched. Nothing in the mind, nothing in the content of experience can touch you, hurt you, taint you. Therefore, nothing can make you happy or unhappy. You are in a pure condition of peace at all times. And the deeper you go into this understanding, the more clear it is for you, the more clear it's going to be. I have a retreat at the end of the year. It's taking place in Marbella in Spain. If you'd like to check that out, the link's in the description. I also have a free community. So if you want free meditations and things like that, you can check that out as well. Thank you so much. Have an amazing day, guys. Take care.